It's my very, very big pleasure not to be the boss, but to wrap up the conference today. We've had a fantastic number of presentations, but the themes throughout those presentations have been pretty clear. And what we've heard is we've had the challenge issued to us from Mike and Colin first up this morning, where Mike, I guess, appealing to my accountancy background with the rule of 72, and he explained to us that confinement farms with the confinement model in North America are making productivity gains each year of 3%. That means that their productivity doubles within 24 years. Pasture-based systems, our productivity is lifting currently at 0.2%. That means for those of you that are fortunate enough to live 360 years, you might see it double. So the challenge there isn't what is our competitiveness today, it's what do our industries look like in 10, in 20, in 30 or in 40 years' time. And my take out of that is that if we don't collaborate as pasture producers, our future is grim. But the other side though, and this comes back to the challenge and the three key points that Mike gave us, is that if we tell our story better, if we innovate, and if we absolutely focus on our profitability, there's plenty of reason to be optimistic. And then we've heard the challenge, and the challenge came from our bankers. And that challenge was that volatility is real. It's very real because today, 1/3 of our businesses, they classify as being high cost. What's high cost? High cost was that our cost of production, excluding interest, were above $4.30. And what that meant is that if we're faced with a lift in interest rates of more than 2%, 1/3 of our businesses will not be profitable. Now, does that mean that we should run away into our holes and be scared and be concerned? Heck no. That highlighted the opportunity. It highlighted that businesses grow that are profitable. It highlighted that people or businesses that are profitable attract the best people. And it also highlighted for us that those businesses that have the highest pasture utilisation are the profitable businesses. But businesses grow in downturns, not when things are going well. So where's the opportunity for growth? The opportunity for growth is actually today. We have more opportunity before us today than we've had for a number of years. And that opportunity is getting bigger. And then we had the examples. And the examples of that growth and just what we can do have been our farmers, our heroes, our three key stories that we heard today. Firstly, we heard from Greg Rogley, where Greg and Rachel have built and grown a very dynamic, very profitable business over a number of years. And Greg had a couple of really key messages for us, is that every dollar that they invest, it's not that it breaks even, it is that they want to see $2 coming home. They avoid dissolution by dilution. And his challenge was that for the businesses that have highest cost structures, get 75 cents out of your costs now. And he said that half of that was focusing on the discipline around costs, and the other half could be done simply with pasture management. And reverting back to Mike's challenge around that rule of 72, that can actually be the difference between doubling your equity growth in 15 years or simply staying constant. It's pretty clear. Those that have to take action now, if you do it, the future looks pretty bright. And then we heard from Leonie. And Leonie's message was unbelievably clear. The clarity was there for us all to see. And it was the same thing. It was the consistency of performance, target profit, before anything else, and production is simply a consequence. And be absolutely disciplined with where you invest your capital. And if you do that, the banks go outside criteria to bank those businesses that demonstrate that profitability and the soundness of earnings. And then this afternoon, I'm getting ahead of myself. We turn next then to the how, our scientists. And Brendan led off first, and he focused on the challenge that's certainly out there, but he focused on what we do well. And he focused that resilience in businesses was where there's profit, where there's labour efficiency, and where there's reduced environmental pressures. And he took us through some ways that we can do that. But simply adhering to that pasture curve is what makes a business stronger. Now, Brendan didn't say it today, but he mentioned it in Hamilton earlier in the week. Is that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication we can have. So if we can make our clarity of purpose, our direction of travel absolutely clear, that's what gets us where we want to be. And there was a question that came from the floor around marginal milk. Well, John, just following John Roach's presentation shortly after Brendan. And it touched on, what should you focus on? Should you focus on your marginal milk production? And Brendan's answer was absolutely clear. If you focus on the marginal milk, you take your eye off your focus on pasture. Again, it's that clarity of message again. Then we had John Roach, and John took us through the mathematics and the science behind aiming for marginal milk. But my conclusion from John's presentation was quite simple in the end. And it was, if your total costs are under $4, you don't need to be worried about your marginal costs being above the milk price. But if they're higher than $4, take action now. And he also touched on the other challenge in New Zealand businesses in the next period of time around our nutrient footprints, and suggested that for us, the challenge is in the autumn. So again, let's focus in on our past utilisation and our drive of profitability. After our scientists, we then had the example again of an absolute enthusiasm in the growth of a young business with Will Gray. Will's focus on operating costs per kilogram of milk solids and pasture harvested. But he also had a number of other clear themes for us. He focused on the compatibility of business partners, clear expectations, and that word that we heard later, trust. He also talked about the opportunities that are before us as one generation is looking to move on and another generation is looking to move in, is that deals must have a win-win. And what was Will's final message? It was, if you do nothing else, start. So again, the opportunity, the challenge is pretty clear. The next part of today's proceedings was the connection with the consumer. Because we can produce all we like, but if no one's going to buy it, it counts for nothing. And Jeremy took us through New Zealand's and Ireland's key competitive advantage. He talked around milk being nutritionally good, and he touched on how milk can help, or dairy can help achieve the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. He said that New Zealand was at the sort of upper end of competitiveness around carbon footprint compared with milk alternatives, and Ireland, well, like that slide, you're nearly there, but not quite. He said we must make a difference. And for New Zealand, for Fonterra, that means moving the world to be proactive in leading dairy practice. And the world will be a better place nutritionally if only everyone consumed that 500 mils of milk every day. Then we heard from Tim Hunt from Rabobank. And Tim brought us back to the story of origin. It's a bit like the slide on the screen there at the moment, isn't it? But it's really important that we tell our story. And the piece that Tim left me with at the end was that if we don't tell our story, someone else can tell it for us. And those origin stories can be rewritten. Priorities also vary. The United States is very focused on the ethical issues, and China is focused on safe food and trust. But constantly tell our story. There was a comment or a reply to a question that Tim got again in Hamilton earlier in the week when he was asked, what can we do that can really make a difference? And it's really resonated with me. Is it's when we're discussing our stories with our consumers, it's be serious and be utterly serious about our actions. So when we make claims, we must deliver on them. So I guess we've covered a lot of things today. And for me, it comes back to the question that Mike and Colin put to us at the start of the day, is why do we do this? Why have we had so many people up on stage here today talking about pasture dairy and what the future is for Ireland and New Zealand? It's because we all want to make a positive difference. And what are those ways that we can make that positive difference? It's that our businesses must be profitable. They must be growing. If they're profitable and growing, they attract staff. Not any staff, but the best staff. They appeal to the consumer, and it means that we're doing what's right. So I leave you with the comment that Mike made right at the start. There's plenty of opportunities out there, and there's plenty of reason to be optimistic about our future. So thank you very much, everyone. And this conference, this summit certainly isn't over yet. Tonight we've got the dinner at the Hotel Ashburton up the road, and that's I think that's kicking off at 6 o'clock. I think it is. Isn't it 6:30? Julia? 6:30 for drinks, and then into the dinner after that. Seated by 7. So please, for those of you that are not able to join us at Ashley Den tomorrow, there's some feedback forms in the back. I think there's a box up. Well, you shuffle past the box on the way up, do you, Julia? Is that right? So, day one feedback forms, if you can take a minute just now, rip them out and stick them in the box on the way. But thank you very much everyone for your attendance, and as Mike said, we look forward to seeing everyone in Ireland in June 2020. Thank you again.